Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Doing a show live here at Tom's Watch Bar. It is brand new downtown off of Illinois. This is awesome in terms of being able to watch anything and everything with a subtle turn of the head. That's about it. I glance to the right, got everything I want to watch there. Glance to the left, everything I want to watch there. Great menu, great drinks. Bud Light Blue Friday. We've got Colts tickets to give away for their regular season finale coming up a week from Sunday at Lucas Oil Stadium. We've got other stuff with our friends from Zinc of this Bud Light Blue Friday to give away. However, here at Tom's Watch Bar, they're going to set you up when you walk in. The hostess will grant you a ticket. And with this ticket is your opportunity to take home a jersey. And we have 2 Colts jerseys to give away. I'll show them right now via the AAA Membership Lounge YouTube Live. A Jonathan Taylor we have rocking right here. And I believe this is the 5-6, indeed it is, of the Quentin Nelson. This is for a hardy individual right here. This is going to swallow you up, but it is going to be incredibly comfortable. And everybody that walks in, like Mike is right behind me. That is Mike of Mike and Donna and New Pal fame behind me. He's decided to come downtown for the first time in a long time to hang out. So he's cool, riding a part of the show. It's like he's in the back seat of a bus that I'm driving right here, which is really awesome. That is Mike back there. He's got a ticket, and you can get a ticket too as you walk in from the hostess, and you can win one of these 2 jerseys. So we have a ton to give away over the course of the afternoon. We have a ton to talk about over the course of the afternoon. You look at Anthony Richardson's non-participation in practice once again today. Shane Steichen says that he could still play, but again, history tells you more than just suggests to you that in weeks in which he doesn't practice, in the past he doesn't play. So are you getting prepared for Joe Flacco coming up on Sunday? And here's why. And I'm not suggesting that they're not working hard to try to get him back. And I know a lot of people have had thoughts on, well, yeah, you know, if he's not ready, you want to make sure that he has a healthy offseason. And I've kind of said my ass to that. If he's ready in any shape or form, and he's your better choice to be out there at quarterback, then have his ass out there at quarterback. That's my thought on it right there. All right, I'm not really worried. I know that they have a slim chance, a slim opportunity to get into the postseason, but we diddle around with this all the time, and it drives me nuts. If the dude is ready, then he should play. And I know it's supposed to be a rain-soaked afternoon. I don't care. That's what happens when you're the quarterback. That's part of being the team leader. If he's not ready, I completely understand that as well, then he shouldn't play. But that's never really been a debate for me. I'm not worried about the off-stinking season here. You're worried about what you're living in the present. And so often we worry so much about what's further down the road or, what you can do with these draft picks coming up in 3 years. I don't give a damn. If you're going to go someplace and you're able to play, go someplace and you play. And if you're not, don't, and let Joe Flacco do it, or Sam Ehlinger do it, or whomever is going to be able to do it. But past history does show that in non-work weeks, practice-wise, Anthony Richardson doesn't play. And again, that's kind of the expectation moving forward. We'll talk about that with the Gorman coming up in a couple of minutes as well. Yeah, we'll be working that angle throughout the course of the afternoon, maybe even at a time, James, you can set this up as well. Maybe get Nate Atkins of the Star, who's been on top of this story a little bit later on. JJ's going to join us from Boston. You got the first of two this weekend for the Pacers on the road against the Celtics. The Celtics have lost 2 straight. The Pacers were incredibly disappointing last night at home, down the stretch. I mean, the entirety of the game, they had the lead, and you felt good about it. And then down the stretch, one superstar stepped up and put up 45, and the other put up 6 shot opportunities. That can't happen. All right, that can't. You can have off games and all that. I want you to go down shooting. All right, when you're especially a player at that level, I mean, they tell us that's never played a lick and never been good. You got to keep on shooting. Shooters got to shoot themselves. You got to keep trying. 6 shot attempts won't get it done. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was awesome last night, and the Pacers unfortunately lose, and now they embark on a trip this weekend to Boston, Friday and Sunday against the Celtics, back at home New Year's Eve against Milwaukee. So there's no doubt this does not get any easier. And last night was, I thought, a substantial missed opportunity against a really good team. 120-114 was the final at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Jeremiah Johnson live from Boston, bottom of the hour. Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Mike Wells of ESPN Radio also coming up. But on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he's not at Tom's Watch Bar today. He's staked out someplace else, getting set for the Colts pregame huddle at 10 a.m. coming up on Sunday morning, a part of the Colts Radio Network, and the game day broadcast both on the radio and in the stadium during home games. He is the Gorman. Happy holidays to you, Gorman.
John, I'm soaking wet. We had a practice held outdoors today. The rain was plentiful, getting this team ready to play the football Giants up in similar weather, some rain on the horizon up there, as well as, some cooler temperatures, but not too bad. So, them boys are getting ready, John. Big one on Sunday.
Yeah, it is. All right, the big story is that of Anthony Richardson. Where do we begin on here? Historically speaking, it's easy to suggest that when he doesn't practice, he doesn't end up playing in his short-term past here. What's your feel for a guy that has yet to be ruled out but did not practice at all this week?
I think the only thing saving him is, some multiple starts under his belt, not consistently, but in year 2 that you get some veteran quarterbacks that can do that, John, but it's rare. I mean, it's really rare that they don't practice throughout the week and then, put the cleats on Sunday. But, Shane said at his press conference today, anything goes. We're going to monitor, this young man over 48 hours and see what it goes. I'm just guessing. I'm a fan in the upper deck, John, and I'm going to say it will be Joe Flacco's turn on Sunday. Leading up to the game and something like that, it just makes sense. And he hasn't played a ton of NFL football, so it will be tough. I'm not ruling anything out, but I'm just saying, if I'm in Vegas and have to make a bet on it, John, I would say that Flacco gets a start on it, which isn't bad. I mean, this is a bad football team we're playing, and I don't want to curse anything or anything like that. They are truly, a team that's in flux right now, figuring out, who's going to lead the team, who's going to play quarterback for them, who's going to general manager, who's going to be the head coach. So, and the 31st in rushing defense, and Jonathan Taylor is riding a hot hand right now. So everything sits up. Drew Lock's been terrible for him. I mean, obviously Neighbors is good. Wendell Robinson is good. But after that, they got the kid, Price out of Purdue. But it's pretty non-existent. I hate to say that because it's an NFL game, John, and you know what could happen. You want to talk about misery is going up there and dropping a game, and all playoff chances are gone off the table then. I don't see it happening with Flacco or Richardson starting, and everybody's available. And like Alec Pierce looks like he's going to give it a go. He went this week. He's just got to pass the Saturday concussion protocol, and he's a healthy body. So this team is healthy for the most part, other than the starting quarterback, it looks like. So I like their chances, like I said, against the Giants that are just kind of spiraling out, losers of 10 straight now, and they're going to drop another home game, and that hasn't happened for the New York Giants in, 100 years or whatever it is. So they're definitely spiraling, and we're catching a break at the end of the season, John. Obviously, our playoff chances are riding with other teams, and we're going to be scoreboard watching, but to finish with the Giants and the Jacksonville Jaguars and still have a potential place in the playoffs, good place to be for the Colts.
It's the Gorman, the Colts pregame huddle, Colts Radio Network, and then some. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, Bud Light Blue Friday, with a lot of stuff to give away at Tom's Watch Bar downtown on Illinois. We've got to do a lot of dressing up here, let's face it, Gorman, to make this thing not suck. Thing not suck, because it looks awful on paper. Now, I will tell you this. There is one true way, one true form to make this thing not suck, and that's to go to MetLife Stadium and not lose. That's it. That's the one true way this thing truly will not, because all other angles lead you to Suckville right here. It just does.
John, don't even get me started on this path, because, you're talking about, how about winning in New York and then potentially losing to a team like Jacksonville, and you still had, a toe in the pool of the playoffs. I'm just saying the scenarios on the negative side are out there. I don't even want to entertain. I do not want to entertain a loss to the Giants or the Jaguars, because win or lose, go into the playoffs or not in the playoffs, John, we want to finish on a high note, especially with the quarterback. I don't know if that's going to happen against the Giants, but you want to finish on the highest note possible for Shane Steichen and his boys, and especially Anthony Richardson. But, it's been that type of year, John. I mean, nothing surprising right now. It was just one of those things. Anthony didn't come out of any plays. He didn't miss any plays last week, but, he's just going with the soreness factor on the back and the foot all week. And, they're not going to put him out there if he's not going to be helping the offense, whereas, Joe Flacco could help the offense. But we've seen a lot of stuff going on this season, peaks and valleys. Nothing surprises me from here on out, and that's why I'm holding hope for a playoff shot to watch Jim Harbaugh's team potentially drop 2, hopefully on Saturday up in New England to start this thing.
That's Gorman's nice way to put it. All roads lead to Suckville unless they win and get the hell out of Dodge right there. Gorman's on the Andy Moore.
I'm going to let you say that. You're not getting me saying it.
I'm trying. Hey, I'm trying to love it. I'm trying to love it. Love it like I've never loved anything before. But they're outside of winning. Once that thing's done, it doesn't look like there's a lot of redeeming quality going into it right now. It just doesn't. So hopefully a win will make it all right. That's what matters.
I tell you what, locker room was key on that. They're going to take care of business. I know I say that each week, but it was a good locker room today as far as the focus was there, if you will. There was a little bit less of the extracurricular activities going around there, and these guys are focused. We had a chance to catch up with Ryan Kelly, one of the captains, afterwards, and talk about the focus on stuff. And he's like, "Hey, John, I like to use the quote grab ass." He said, "This is not the time that we're going to be playing patty cakes. We have to go up there, take care of business, get on a plane. Hopefully other teams help us, but more importantly, get ready for the next one, because that's what it is. No horses will be in this race if the Colts lose any game coming up, whether it's the Giants or Jacksonville. So just like you said, just go up there and take care of business. Then we're going to roll the big wheel of fortune and see if we can catch some luck on this thing. But you got to finish on a high note. Jonathan Taylor obviously running wild, and I think you're going to get a heavy dose of 28 come Sunday as well, with the inclement weather up there and possibly Flacco getting the start at quarterback. But I'm just saying, they're one at a time from here on out, John. We got to find the good in this thing, and I know you're going to bring it on Sunday with your positive attitude.
Oh, hell yes. I got a positive right now. Look, I'm at Tom's Watch Bar. I'm getting ready to drink a bunch of ice-cold Bud Lights, have some great food. Okay. I'm talking to you and trying to figure out when the hell Anthony Richardson got injured to the point of where we are right now last week. When did that happen? You have an identifier? You got a moment in that game?
Hey, Shane Steichen said there wasn't one particular play that took him down. I went over through my thought process of him getting up slow or him taking a minute to get up. It didn't cross my mind, so I don't know when that happened.
Right.
But, they're running this kid. They're running the young man. So obviously he's taken some major big boy hits that he hasn't been used to over consistent weeks upon weeks, either from the University of Florida to last year's 4-game stint to this year's off and on starting. So, hey, man, tough game, but we're going to see what happens. I just think we're in a good position this week, John. I will find the good in that is whether Joe Flacco starts, Sam Ehlinger starts, or Anthony Richardson starts. I think they're in a good position to have a basic game plan to torch these guys, because I think these guys are mailing it in at this point up in New York for the Giant football program. So that's the good news of the thing. I don't know. I don't care who's going to play quarterback. I feel very confident in this team on both sides of the ball that they're not going to lose to a team like this. They might get torched a little bit, from Malik Neighbors here and there. But as far as losing this football game, I mean, their offense has trouble putting points on the board. They put single digits up in 3 of their last 5 games. So offense is definitely a problem up there, and hopefully the boys are ready for it. John, this is one we got to keep positive for, and I want to play for something at that home game against Jacksonville. Have something on the table.
There's no doubt.
Because you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like I don't want to be giving away tickets at the workers at my local grocery market. I want it to mean something. So that's what I'm saying, man. It's like, come on, boys, go up there, take care of business, and Jim Harbaugh, you lay an egg in New England, and we're on our way.
Well, I will tell you this. I mean, both the Bengals and the Patriots will have something to say about this, too, because the fate, certainly the fate could be known by the time things are teed up football-wise at MetLife on Sunday. So.
Yeah, thanks for that reminder. Appreciate that, John. Yes, that is a fact that can happen.
Saturday football.
We could be eliminated by Saturday before kickoff. You're absolutely right, but that's why I'm hoping that Drake May has something in his arsenal that we haven't seen yet, and he goes up there and beats a good team at home in the Chargers, and hey, Joe Burrow, do what you got to do, man. I don't care what that is, but beat the Broncos and give us a chip in a chair, John. That's what they say in poker world. That's all you need, right?
Yes, no doubt about that. Gorman, Colts pregame huddle coming up on Sunday. We will be fired up and ready to go, though. We always are.
I know.
We're always wound up and good to go.
Hey, have your buddies over at Tom's. Have them fix you one of those pails of beer, and then just put some ice on it and bring that thing into the studio on Sunday. We're going to get you liquored up and loosened up a little bit. Let's have some fun.
You know what? I have not. It's weird. I have not been liquored up on a Colts pregame huddle in a while. You know what?
John, about time something changes around here, John boy.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. I mean, the last couple of years, remember me and all those Bloody Marys? I haven't had a Bloody Mary in a year.
well, start again, John. We need something, and I'll promise you I'll give you a ride home or I'll call an Uber for you on Sunday, but you got to bring it, and let's keep the faith, brother. That's all I'm trying to do is paint that nice picture for everybody right now. It happens one at a time.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. That is the Gorman. Anything else we should know? You'd mentioned, obviously, that of Alec Pierce and being back. And anything else worth conversationally having before I let you go here regarding that matchup coming up on Sunday, buddy?
I wish I could tell you, like, E.J. Speed's going to go and Alec Pierce is going to go and we're ready to roll. But I just didn't get that from the head coach. It's one big monitor thing. And I'm not saying they're mailing this thing in, but if some key players are missing, don't overlook these Giants. I'm not saying that, John, at all. But I'm saying if they can go up there and establish a running game, against this Giants defense, it's going to be an easier afternoon for everybody. But this is, as big as the Jacksonville game is for us, those 2 games on Saturday that you talk about, they're as big as ours. So I hope all Colts fans are watching and rooting on the right teams when you're talking, go Joe Burrow and go Drake May and Gerard Mayo, the head coach up there. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah,
so, keep the faith, John.
Did you have a good Christmas?
Oh,
Did you have a good Christmas in the crappy state of Michigan?
Oh, man, a quick trip up there. It was about 28 hours. We went up there. We saw Fair and Square Lair and Doty. We had a nice time with Mom and Dad up there. It was a good time. Quick trip, but good to be back here and good to keep this thing rolling because I just don't want to hear you tee off on this team for the next 6 months starting mid-January. That's what I'm trying to avoid, John.
I don't want to do that. I don't want – I want them – I want them to persuade me to do something else here, but it just kind of is where we are. Hey, by the way, the best trips to the state of Michigan are those that are the quickest trips to the state of Michigan.
Oh,
so you did that bad boy up right.
All right, fair enough. I've got like this huge place in our family up there up in Traverse City that you and I are going to make. I can't believe I'm saying this, a road trip up there to enlighten you a little bit about the glorious, glorious acreage of northern Michigan, okay? I mean, it is – you want to talk about God's country, John. I'll give you what you say around Detroit and the Detroit area, but boy, oh boy, you go 2 hours and above north of above that. Buddy, you're in God's country up there. I don't know what –
Oh, man, I'm telling you, you're right. Yeah.
Indiana's a beautiful state.
Flint's beautiful. Ypsilanti, what a great place to be this time of year. Yeah, I'm excited about going, yeah.
I can't win this conversation. so I'm going to jump off. But I mean, you'll just keep naming cities that I can't argue with. So I'm gonna get out while I can, man.
All right, buddy. Hey, I can't wait. Coming up on Sunday, we'll get everybody updated and certainly have a more clear view. Hey, Gorman, you would know this better than I. Do you think at a point where will he get, and I'm talking about Richardson, officially ruled out, or will they ride this decision all the way up to the release of the inactive list? What do you think?
I mean, it's a guess, but why would I wouldn't come out and rule him out so these guys get an extra night of sleep to game plan for Joe Flacco. It's two different offenses when you're facing Anthony Richardson as to Joe Flacco. So my guess is no, it would be a game time decision type thing. And when that inactive list comes out, we'll see if he's on it or he's not. But I don't see anything, rule outs going like that to give that defense an extra, little look. They're saying, hey, the threat that Richardson is, I want that out there because when they know when Joe's back there, he's more of a statue ready to throw it. And Anthony, you know, he can take it off and take it for 60 to the house. So I expect and when the inactive list comes out, that's what we're going to know for sure about Anthony Richardson. But like I said, up in the air, Shane said anything goes. They're monitoring over the next 48 hours, and they want this young man to play this game. So we're going to see.
I want these guys to win, man. I want to be talking about a good, consecutively good overall in a season team. It's no fun to be critical because you have to be critical like this over and over again.
John,
there's no fun in Suckville.
I just listened to your 5-minute rant on nobody being able to make a basket over at Gamebridge. So I don't want to have that if we drop a game up to the New York Football Giants or Jacksonville. So, John, I mean, you got some big, large teeth and some claws on you, brother. We're trying to stay out of, your negative zone, if you will. I don't like to be on John's bad side.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it. We'll see you in there coming up on Sunday, and things are underway at 10 a.m. for the Colts pregame huddle,
sir.
Along with Bill Brooks and Casey Valier. That's the Gorman on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Gorman, appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, tell Tommy I said hi over at his watch party. I didn't get the invite, but maybe next time.
No, you should. You always have the invite. You just never show up.
But, like I said, have Tommy email me and I'll come. Sure.
You got it, bro. I appreciate you, man.
Bye-bye.
It's Gorman on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. It's not a big surprise that sounded like that Richardson is not going to give that a go coming up on Sunday. Not a big surprise anyway. If you're reading this, you're reading the past, it would all make sense. I do, however, would like to know, so this is a cumulative effect on injuries and soreness leading to soreness leading to injuries and such. Is that what we're talking about here? Because I have not found anybody yet that can hard target exactly when something took place. All of a sudden on Wednesday, this thing popped up. And it does not look bright. You guys prepping for Flacco coming up on Sunday. Are we going to prep for Flacco at Tom's Watch Bar? Hey, by the way, everybody that walks in, the hostess will hand you a ticket, and you could end up winning one of the 2 Colts jerseys I have, a Quentin Nelson and Jonathan Taylor right here, along with a Bud Light Blue Friday. And we've got Colts Jaguars tickets to give away and so much more, too. Kendall and Kevin are ready with the football toss. We've got ice cold Bud Light here and ready for you to drop in. Great food at Tom's Watch Bar. If you're new to it, come and check it out like my man Mike from New Pal is right behind me right here. Good to go. Downtown off of Illinois. This is Tom's Watch Bar on a Bud Light Blue Friday. Happy holidays to everybody out there. And still to come from ESPN Radio, Mike Wells, the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer. And coming up next, live from Boston, what happened late last night? It was pretty easy to see in the fourth quarter what went down and then what didn't, unfortunately, from a Pacer angle. You go back-to-back with Boston Friday and Sunday in Boston, and then back at home on New Year's Eve afternoon versus the Milwaukee Bucks. That's the Pacer short-term schedule. That and more with JJ from Pacers TV on the other side. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. I'm waving at you right now. We would love to see you. Behind me, you can see the vast selection of TV broadcast and sports that you have Tom's Watch Bar, brand new on Illinois, downtown to Indianapolis on a Bud Light Blue Friday. The stream, the app, HD Radio at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
Look at all those ding-dongs.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Dev is the on-site engineer. Tom's Watch Bar on a Bud Light Blue Friday. I've got a ton to give away. Jerseys, Colts wise to give away. Get a ticket when you walk in off of Illinois, downtown. Chris Hagen of Fox 59 is here with us. Good afternoon, Chris.
Good afternoon, John. Merry late Christmas. Happy early New Year.
This is Tom's Watch Bar. We're on Anthony Richardson availability watch.
You know what?
Feeling about that on Sunday?
I had just bragged about him on the air last week that he had set a career high with five straight starts, and it looks like the string might end at 5 straight starts.
I think that's the high water mark so
It is.
far.
That's the record. But let's be honest. We could trot me or you having lost 700 pounds. We could go out at quarterback and beat this craptastic Giants team.
I got pretty good touch, brother.
But here's the problem. If you're going to bet on this game, which I know a lot of your listeners do, you need to wait until Saturday and see what happens. Because it could be a team hitting the field with absolutely nothing to play for on Sunday based on what goes down on Saturday. And I got to say something about this.
Why don't you say something about this?
Okay, so you get on this X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yes.
And I want you to stop me when what I say is a lie. Are you ready? The Colts lost to the Texans by 2 points and by 3.
Yes.
Have I lied yet?
No.
On that?
Correct.
If they had won just one of those games, they'd be alone atop the AFC South right now.
Yes.
I've just stated 2 facts, right?
2 facts.
I have gotten murdered on X by everybody. Colts fans, Texans fans. One guy said, "Shut up, clown." How is that clown? I say a lot of clownish things. One guy said, "Shut up, B word," but he didn't type out B word.
What do you got to shut up about when you get facts?
It wasn't
Those
like I was saying.
Facts. Those are facts of this team.
I didn't say C.J. Stroud is overrated. They have no business making the playoffs. That I could see. Shut up, clown. All I said was the facts. And it goes back to what we said week 1. We both said it's a must-win. It's a must-win.
Damn right.
And they didn't win.
I'll drink to that.
At home against the Texans.
Yeah.
Had everything gone exactly the same, injuries, losses, Denver. If they had won that game week 1, they'd be a half game on top of the AFC South and control their own destiny against 2 crappy teams. So, yes, you can call a week 1 game a must-win. You can call a week 7 game a must-win. They all count the same, but some of them end up meaning a lot more. And so here we are, late December, looking back on that September afternoon going, man, if you just would have won that game, you'd be sitting here alone in first place and ready to punch your ticket to the playoffs for the first time since 20. So that's true. And also, get off my back on this X when all I do is state a fact.
Are all you non-believers out there now firmly in my corner? I talk about Tyrese Halliburton orchestrating. This is me orchestrating a point I've tried to make, and everybody's laughed about it. Everybody's joked about it. Everybody thinks that I'm going overboard with it. And it is true. You can have a must-win in week number 1. Meantime, Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. Speaking of Tyrese Halliburton orchestration, or lack thereof, going back to last night. Unfortunately, late in that game, Pacers didn't get it done. Now they find themselves in a spot in Boston, back-to-back Friday-Sunday matchups with the Celtics, who have lost 2 consecutive. Probably aren't feeling good about that. And from Pacers TV, Jeremiah Johnson joins us. So why such an unwillingness, you think, for Halliburton to take more than 6 shots? That's weird to me.
You're going to let me pass by the Chris Hagen airing of grievances and just
No, yeah, I guess. All right, hold that thought. We'll double back to it. Go ahead and respond to what Hagen had to say, basically getting pissy about everybody on X. Go ahead.
Well, what it made me think of is Monday you asked me if I had any, airing of grievances, and I feel like I didn't have any, but Chris Hagen would always get frustrated with me when I would write his scripts and I wrote then instead of than, and I would get the THEN and the THAN confused. And I'll give Chris credit that now when I write my own scripts, I think of him every time I use that word and I never screw it up. So I appreciate you, Chris Hagen, and I appreciate you stating some facts on Twitter and social media. Fans are going to be fans, and it's just, if they're disappointed and angry, it doesn't really matter what facts you present. They're going to see it the way they want to see it. So sometimes you just got to deal with it.
Jeremiah still goes to a support group, people that have worked with me or hung out with me for a great deal of time, trying to get through all the hardships and things I would say. But I'll give JJ credit, and I didn't invent this. I learned this myself. When somebody tells me something I've been saying wrong, I don't get mad at them. I appreciate it, because for years I was going on TV and saying it'll be the Colts versus the Giants, Colts versus it's versus. Just because the abbreviation is VS, you still have to say versus, not verse. So every time I say versus, I remember the person who told me that and corrected me that. But JJ would get his.
But you don't say coats, though, so that's good.
Coats. JJ would get his than and them's mixed up, but now he's on top of it. And JJ, as you might know, and I'm going to pass by you two buttholes trying to lure me into something.
Wait a minute. That's the first time anybody's ever said butthole on this show besides me. This is a proud moment.
Then.
Yeah, proud moment.
But, yeah, JJ, I'll get a little mushy here and say I'm very proud of JJ, because every time I see him on the air, and he's always very well dressed, and to see how smooth he is on the air and not knowing if there's a prompter or not, I'm like, look at JJ go. Look at him all grown up. So having said that, JJ, I'm glad that you have then and than all under control now as well.
All right, now we can move ahead to this Tyrese Halliburton topic. I'm good with that, John, and I think everyone would probably agree. I think everyone would agree. He has to be more aggressive. He has to take more shots. To play 35 minutes and only score 4 points, I think it was the first time in his career that he played that many minutes and had fewer than 8 points. And so I think he has to be a threat. That's what Eddie Gill said on Pacers Live postgame last night, just maybe not looking for his shot as much. You don't mind him being pass first, but it can't be pass first, second, and third. You've got to take some of those opportunities. And there were even the 2 or 3 times he did go into the lane and shoot a floater or shoot a 5 to 7 foot jumper. I even felt like he was hesitating then. So we'll see what happens tonight. If teams continue to try to take him out of the offense, how does he adjust? Although it's happening less and less. I don't think last night was a product of teams face guarding him from one end line to the other. While Lou Dort is a really good defender, he wasn't in the game for a lot of that first quarter, and Tyrese was not really looking to shoot it all in the first quarter. So I think you'll see him respond to that. It's something they're trying to work through probably just a little bit. But, again, I think at one point in the game I was talking with Pat Boylan, there were 12 different players, 13 different players who had more shot attempts than Tyrese Halliburton. And that's you got to have the passing, but you got to have some more scoring as well.
So Jeremiah Johnson, Pacers TV, the first of 2, Friday, Sunday in Boston, is coming up later on tonight. Chris, you have a question?
And bear in mind, you're playing against a team riding, an 8-game winning streak? One of the best teams in the league. Granted, they weren't 100% either. So the 5-game winning streak, I think, was huge for this team. The trip out west, the successful road trip, and when you consider, Jeremiah, all the hardships the team has gone through, never one to make excuses, but if they could get everybody 100%, I know Toppin had a little something last night with his ankle. I think the expectation was warranted this year for the team, and I think they can still get back to where fans are hoping and expecting them to get.
Yeah, what they did in the week before Christmas was huge. To go from 10-15 to 15-15, it did give you just a little bit of breathing room. Not that you want to take a look at this week coming up, and the Thunder was a missed opportunity, but 2 against Boston, and then New Year's Eve home against the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, you don't want to give back everything that you gained last week, but all losses are not created equal. And last night's game, while disappointing the way it finished, the final 3 minutes, I wasn't overly upset just because you're seeing every single game, to me, the Pacers play the way they played when they had their success last season. It looked like a Pacers game, and it's during last season. It wasn't like there weren't some times that they struggled down the stretch. By and large this season, they've been good in those clutch situations, and that was an MVP performance from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't know. I think right now they're saying he and Nikola Jokic are 1-2 in terms of the odds, but with where their record is and the impact he has on that team, he's the MVP for me right now. And so, again, there were some moments in that game where the Pacers had a chance when they were up 15. If you get it to 20, it might have been trouble for Oklahoma City. There was another stretch there in the second half where the Pacers had a 7-point lead, and I felt like if they just could have gotten it to 10 or 11 or 12, they'd have been in a really good position, but the Thunder didn't let them do that, and they are number 1 in the league in defense. So the defense for the Thunder clamped down. I agree with you, Chris. Aaron Nesmith will continue to be huge, but just having Ben Shepherd and Andrew Nembhard back has just made them such a better defensive team and really makes them complete. You had three guys that are your best defenders, at least wing and backcourt defenders. When they're all out, it's going to affect things, and it did affect them for a lot of November and early December.
So Jeremiah Johnson's got you on Pacers TV coming up later on tonight. I believe that tip time is at 7:30, correct, JJ, in Boston tonight?
That is correct. Pregame is 7:30, the tip at TD Garden.
Yeah, JJ, don't just gloss over the pregame show. Oh, tip-off. Don't watch anything until 7:07 when they finally tip it off.
I'm giving it some love here, man.
Good grief.
JJ, I want to see Halliburton. If you're going to go out guns blazing here. 2 of 6 doesn't do it for me. I get what you're saying about the team overall. Just thought last night, man, he saw Gilgeous-Alexander. The thing about him, he reminds me of a smaller version of Kevin Durant. He gets to wherever he wants to on the floor and feels comfortable and so smooth. And I don't know how many of his jump shots that went in actually hit the rim. I mean, everything was just nothing but net all night. He was so good. And I think if you're looking at MVPs right now, he's going to be at the top of that list. But that's a stacked team. And I thought if you could have closed them out, that would have done a lot of good now moving to the portion of this schedule still to turn the calendar on the year. It's really difficult. Back-to-back Boston, Milwaukee on New Year's Eve. I think you have Miami after that. Miami beat Orlando last night. So, yeah, it's not going to get any easier, at least to start the new year here in the short term.
It will not. And the way the Pacers want to play a second half of a back-to-back that includes travel to Boston, this is a tough matchup. And I'll be interested to see how the Celtics come out and play because Joe Mazzulla has been pretty critical of them the last couple of games. They had that Christmas Day loss at home to Philadelphia they were disappointed about. Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis both listed as questionable. So those are two key injury updates we'll be following leading up to game time. We do know that Obi Toppin will miss this game, but I'm interested to see how Boston responds because their record in the month of December is 6-5. The Pacers' record in the month of December also 6-5. So The Celtics are not playing championship-level basketball right now. That being said, they have the ability, probably better than anyone, to flip that switch and to turn it on. So it'll be a tough matchup for the Pacers tonight.
Yeah, they'll be salty for sure, and you'd like to at least win one of these two on the road. Not this a playoff series, but try to win at least one because you don't want to follow up the 5-game win streak with a 3-game skid.
Yeah, I agree. It feels a little bit like the start of that Eastern Conference Finals series, although not nearly as important. You wanted to win one of those first two. You had that opportunity. Fans, I'm sure, remember and are still frustrated about in late May. They lost game 1, and then game 2 was not close, and it was tough to win that series when you fall down 2-0. But the Pacers have given the Celtics a challenge. And, again, back to the Tyrese Halliburton conversation, we've seen the way that Joe Mazzulla has tried to be physical and to sort of take Tyrese Halliburton out of the game. We've seen the Hornets, teams that, Coach Davis, he had time on the Celtics bench, or Charles Lee, I should say. He had time on the Celtics bench, and he implemented that similar strategy. So they have a little bit of a playbook in mind to take Tyrese Halliburton out of the game. It could be another opportunity. While Tyrese will be probably trying to be a little bit more aggressive, Andrew Nembhard is going to get some opportunities.
What's the extended period of time, quickly, JJ, before the break here, for Obi Toppin being out? My mom wants to know.
I don't know. I haven't had a chance to see him or talk with him. But he did miss one game earlier this season with a sprained ankle, and it was good to me to see him go out there and try to play, although he was ruled out for the second half. So I don't really know, but in 2 seasons, this is just Obi Toppin's second game out. So I think he'll come back as quick as possible. You just hope it's not of the serious variety, and we've yet to officially hear how things will be. Because he's as important to the Pacers' identity, I feel like, as anyone with the way he runs and sort of the style that he plays with.
Get ready for a ton of three-point shots later on tonight. Actually, tonight and Sunday from the Celtics. JJ's got you covered on TV later on tonight. 7 o'clock for Pacers Live, 7:30 tip time for Boston. Coming up later on this evening, the first of 2 with the Celtics over the weekend. Jeremiah Johnson's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Have a great show and broadcast all weekend long, JJ. Thanks, brother.
All right, great to talk with you. Chris Hagen, congrats on all your success and staying power. 59.
You escaped, JJ. I didn't, but thank you.
JJ right there in the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. That's Hagen. I'm John. Quick break. We'll come back. Anthony Richardson. We're going to get a big dose of Flacco coming up on Sunday, aren't we, Hagen?
It looks
you ready for that dose of Flacco again?
I don't think it matters to who wins the game, but, yeah, I think it'll be Joe Flacco.
Hagen says it does not matter. We'll talk about what does matter. 2 Saturday games, 2 of the 3 that matter big time. That's coming up on the other side. Tom's Watch Bar downtown, Bud Light Blue Friday. Get your ass here. We've got stuff to give away, including a Colts jersey, including Colts tickets on a Bud Light Blue Friday downtown on Illinois. Our friends from Zinc, they orchestrate this show on a Friday live from Tom's Watch Bar. Hagen rejoins me coming up in a bit on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Tom's Watch Bar, everybody. Bud Light Blue Friday. Our friends from Zinc are here. You're going to get a ticket when you walk in to win a Colts jersey, too. We got to thank everybody from Tom's Watch Bar for being a part of this, too. We would love to see you down here. Chris Hagen, JMV. Chris Hagen of Fox 59. Hello.
Hey, John. I met Tom when I came to an event here.
That's what I heard.
The actual Tom.
Yes. There is an actual man.
And he was about as cool. He looked like either a villain from one of the Die Hard movies or like a guy that would be listening to Steely Dan on a yacht. Hence the title.
It's very Beethoven-like.
He looked very cool.
Yeah,
he was very.
I like it.
And he was. He went all the tables. He was working the tables. He was a cool guy, and I talked to him for a little bit. I'm like, this is not the kind of guy that I thought Tom would be. So but there's no doubt. When I was walking up, like a bevy of TVs. Look, you can see the Yip Yap out there. He's watching TV on the sidewalk. Plenty of TVs on the outside, plenty of TVs on the inside. I tried a bunch of the food when I was here. It was awesome. And also, you can't beat the cold beverages of your choice on a Friday.
You got that right.
So,
nice cold Bud Light, baby.
I think you better jump in on the ground floor at this place because once the word gets out, there's going to be a line out the door trying to get in here. And you're going to want to know, that you've gotten in here before it becomes a place that's hard to get into.
This TV-wise is kind of our dream. Like when we grew up, you go, I want a TV where I can see it anywhere I go. TV in the bathroom, TV in the kitchen. Remember back when you would go, oh, my God, they have a TV in their kitchen.
Yeah, you'd blow your mind.
Antenna on it. You go, oh, my God, they're watching television. They're watching TV in the kitchen during breakfast. They must be rich.
It's like a sports bar in here. And there was a hotel about 20 years ago. I was in Las Vegas, and they put me up in this real swanky place. And there was a TV at the end of the bathtub. And I was like, oh, my God. I'm like, well, now I got to take a bath just so I can say I watched TV in the bathtub.
I'm watching TV in the bathtub right here. Yeah, I'm soaking your own fluids and everything
I felt like Larry Hagman.
That's what you think of Larry Hagman? You think J.R. Ewing took baths and watched TV? Yeah.
That's what I thought of as rich people when I was a kid.
Hey, well, speaking of that, on the other side from ESPN Radio's got us too. I think we just, Andrew Nemhard, unavailable tonight. Left knee
He was the leading
management.
scorer last night for the Pacers with 23 points.
I've got a lot of pain management too, but it's not my left knee's feeling good right now. You like these Carhartt jeans? Does that mean I work really hard if I wear Carhartt jeans?
See, here's how you can tell you lost a bunch of weight. Like, you've got all new clothes, brand new shoes. You had to buy new clothes, and you bought little hipper stuff. You're not wearing the mom jeans anymore.
Carhartt's.
Yeah, you're a cool dude now. Look at the watch. I don't know if I can hang. I don't know if I'm cool enough to hang out with you anymore.
Who do
John.
I remind you of? Don Johnson?
More like Don Knotts.
Don Sutton. Yeah, that's me. Quick break. We'll come back. 4 o'clock hour. We need you here. We'd love to see you at Tom's Watch Bar. We're downtown. Stuff to give away, including Colts tickets, Bud Light Blue Friday, Mike Wells, and Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers, still to come. That means you stick right there. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. Term? No, I don't. And I guess that's a pessimistic viewpoint at it. But so much of this is tied together right now. I don't know how you do one without doing all three in this case, if that makes sense to you.
Hey, let me jump in before Wells answers. Shane Steichen had them in a position to win the last game last year against the Texans, and the kid can't catch the pass. Shane Steichen had Jonathan Taylor running into the end zone against the Broncos, and JT decides to let the ball go before he gets in the end zone. I don't think scheme-wise, Steichen's dealt with 3 different starting quarterbacks. I think he's doing his part. I think you're not getting some execution. I think you got a young quarterback that wasn't ready, and who knows when he will be ready for the job. So I wouldn't say Steichen's job's in any jeopardy whatsoever. I would say that Chris Ballard has been here, and if he misses the playoffs again, and in his tenure he's only been there twice, I would say that's where you start if you're gonna make a move.
Mike, before you join, I'm going to mention this. If you change the general manager, so you're going to bring some dude in and goes, hey, here's your head coach. Hey, here's your quarterback that's very inexperienced and still in a test pattern right now. Yeah, good luck with that. I mean, I know that these jobs are valued, but are you going to get, if you make that change that you're talking about, the best possible candidate that you want if that candidate's going to be stuck with guys that he did not select in that case? Hey, this is your big moment. We're going to hire this guy as a general manager. Oh, yeah, by the way, here's your head coach, and here's your quarterback that's got a 50% completion.
So if a new GM came in to the Fan, they would just get rid of you because they didn't hire you.
Well, I wouldn't say that loud.
You have to give the guy just because the GM comes in. You would have to weigh the body of evidence. Maybe you interview the guy, you talk with the guy, and go, you know what? I'll give this guy a chance. Now, remember, they didn't clean house. They didn't get rid of Grigson and Pagano at the same time. There was a year.
My winning percentage and completion percentage is better.
Might be a little bit better. Yeah, but I don't think just because you get a new GM means you have to wipe the slate completely clean. Who you with on this one, Wells?
Well, I got to backtrack to when John said you get rid of one, you get rid of all 3. So are you essentially done with Anthony Richardson?
I would say this. Done. I'm not done, and here's why. Because he's going to be back next year, and he's going to be playing next year because they're going to still see what they have. However, is my belief long-term, and this guy being the dude they selected 4 overall, is he going to be able to throw it with an off season of work that he didn't get last year because of the shoulder injury or learning more? I like him a great deal. I like the things that he can do, athletically speaking. The thing that I don't like is the thing that is so stinking necessary. Actually, 2 things at that level in the NFL with the most valued position anywhere in professional sports, and that is decision-making and throwing the football. And I don't know how many years it would take to refine that to a point to where you're going to call him an elite quarterback and he's going to get you where you need to go. So I am very pessimistic about that call. But I do know this. I know that, again, I think all 3 are going to be back because this team is going to go 9-8, and he's going to get that final season to work it out or to show what he can do. But, yeah, I'm in a non-believing category. There's no question.
Yeah, and you know what? Everything you said is the truth. Like, can he move to the echelon? Because Patrick Mahomes is not going anywhere. Joe Burrow's not going anywhere. Josh Allen is not going anywhere. And the guy he's going to be competing for the league MVP this year, Lamar Jackson, is not going anywhere. They're all in their 20s still, if I'm not mistaken. And
what about Justin Herbert, too?
Oh yeah, listen, I forgot about Justin Herbert. You got.
Well, what about on the Colts team? What about the Colts good players? You're going to sit around and wait? DeForest Buckner a year older, Jonathan Taylor a year older, Quentin Nelson a year older. What about that? I get where everybody's coming from on this, and I could end up being wrong, and hopefully I am regarding Anthony Richardson. But I'm a non-believer in it right now, long term.
I know what I'm saying is I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is Anthony Richardson's got to take his game to the next level because of all those quarterbacks I just mentioned. They're still in their 20s, and they are miles. I mean marathon miles ahead of Anthony Richardson. So that's what I'm saying. Richardson's really got to take his game. Sure, can we get Anthony Richardson to complete 50% of his passes before we even talk about anything else?
Yeah, and here's the thing, Mike. It makes the most sense. It really does in a rational world and we've just grown a lack of fondness, so to speak, with the whole term run it back. But it really doesn't make a great deal of sense to cut loose one or two, if not all three this year. And that's why I think they're all three going to be back next year, and then we shall see. And nobody wants to hear that, much less than me. But I don't see it happening any other way. I mean, if you're going to do the general manager, then you're really going to be starting new, I think, right? So unless I guess you go in-house and a guy like Ed Dodds, steps up, which I don't think that would happen whatsoever. So I think they're going to go 9-8. And they're going to paint a portrait of on the way up and, above 500. And you're going to see one more year regarding Richardson, and Steichen's going to be back. I would agree regarding Steichen. Hasn't done a great deal wrong. I just happen to think, Mike, about Shane Steichen in his position. I think that you can find Shane Steichens everywhere. I mean, I do. I think Nick Sirianni is Shane Steichen with a better quarterback. I think Brian Callahan, Shane Steichen with a better quarterback. Does that make sense to you? And I think Nick Sirianni is Shane Steichen right now with the quarterback situation here. Does that make sense to you? I think you can find those type of dudes. And that's why I'm saying if you don't feel it long term, there's no need to feel it in the short term. But I know that's not going to happen.
Hey, so here it is. I'm going to ask both of you. Hagen, you go first. How pissed is the fan base going to be when Jim Irsay comes back and says Shane Steichen will be here, Chris Ballard will be back, and obviously we know Anthony Richardson will be back. Is that going to cause uneasiness from the fan base, or they're going to be like, oh, you know what? 9-8, close the season strong. We were a Jonathan Taylor, potentially a Jonathan Taylor mishap at the goal line from swinging momentum in this game to being in the playoffs.
I tell you what, just from the things I see on X already, if this team goes 9-8 and doesn't make the playoffs, it's going to be hard to go out there to Grand Park next year, John, and make it sound like it's all puppies, ice cream, and bubble gum if you got all three. If it's just like you said, run it back. If it's like, hey, optimism's hot, you try to sell that to the fan base, it's going to be awfully hard because they've been waiting to okay, you went out and you got Wentz. Here we go. Oh, okay, we got Matt Ryan. Here we got this high draft pick, and then he's out for the season. I don't think the fans don't run the organization, but you don't want the fans just to say, you know what, I'm checking out. I'll wait till you're good again. So if they go 9-8, don't make the playoffs, I don't think as a business decision you can just say, here we go, let's do it again.
Oh, there's no doubt if they make the postseason, and like I said, if they go 9-8, if they get fortunate and make it, there's no doubt if they go 9-8 and they're on the outside looking in. And here's part of it too. Look at, let's just say, for example, the most recent wins. Who are we talking about here? A who's who of what?
Yeah,
with the Patriots and the Jets and the Titans, and then you look at the Giants, and then you look at the Jaguars. So it is going to be, and this is what is going to be up to the Colts, because they're going to have an incredibly tough sell for the fan base here to say, all right, we're going to stick with this, and this is what we're doing because it's working. And I realize that Chris Ballard's at the head of that right here, going to year number 9. Most guys, Mike, with a high level of success at that position don't last 9 years in the NFL. You know what I mean?
Let's take it a step further. Let's just assume they win these next two. Well, again, they better win these next two games.
Right.
So they go 9-8. Only one of their wins will be against a team that will make the playoffs, and that was the Pittsburgh Steelers with Justin Fields as the starting quarterback way back in Week 4.
Yeah.
One win against the team in the postseason.
It's just we know every week how many close games there are in the league and the fine line between this. And, Wells, we were telling you Week 1, and you laughed at us when we said it's a must-win against the Texans. And guess what? They lost. And right now, if they had won that game, they'd be alone in first place. So it was a must-win. They lost 2 close games to the Texans. They lost that game that they gave away in Denver. And I know there was a lot of football to be played, but if they go up 20-7 in Denver, I think that's a win. Right now, they'd be ahead of them in that wild card spot. So, I mean, are they close? Yeah, but everybody's close in the NFL. Every game's a close game. Look how many one-possession games in a row the Chiefs have won. The Chiefs haven't scored 30 points all season long, and they're 15-1. So it's that kind of league. It's a quarterback-driven league. The Colts took a chance on a young guy who can't stay on the field, who can't complete his passes, who can't throw more touchdowns than interceptions. So, yeah, if you ask me the order of keepability, I'd say number 1 is Steichen, number 2 is Richardson, number 3 is Ballard.
And, hey, Mike, in closing here, too, the Texans have been in the clubhouse with yet another division title for, the last 3 weeks, and they suck. That's what's ridiculous. You look at the AFC South, and I don't care what you say about the quarterback situation, young, old, whatever. To lose in the fashion in this division in which the Colts have this season can be viewed as nothing less than a major disappointment, considering what's going on around them.
I'm not disagreeing with you because I felt like C.J. Stroud he was anything but close to what he was as a rookie this season, and so the AFC South was sitting there on that silver platter, buffet style, saying, "Please come eat me, and get some more." And the Colts failed to take advantage of it.
Man, there's nothing I want more than to see a young quarterback that they drafted number 4 overall be the guy that they think he is. But I think you guys face facts at least till this point. And that's what we're talking about. Until this point, you haven't seen that, and that's kind of I think where we all have to be in terms of realism and reality, and that's kind of what we've been talking about here. Hey, Mike, ESPN Radio, it's Mike Wells on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We shall hit a break. You and the fam have a fantastic New Year's celebration out there in Brownsburg.
Exactly. And I got to ask you, you have a Happy New Year. I got to ask you this question really quick. How in the world can you manage to talk radio so much? So since Sunday night, I have done 17 and a half hours of ESPN radio since Sunday night. How in the world do you have enough hot air to talk that much?
Man, oh man, I dig it. I like talking to people. I like getting responses, both good or bad. I just like being a part of it, I guess, more than anything else. The only thing I'm not a part of right now is I want to be a part of some consistent winning going on. And, we didn't get a chance to talk about the Pacers last night. I want to see that thing get back into gear. And I do have to run here, but I want to see this Colts thing get into gear because it is incredibly important, and it's been lost, rudderless for a long period of time.
To answer the question, Wells, he can't stop talking. He's looking in his fridge at home and he's like, do I go with the ham sandwich or the frozen pizza? I just imagine John walking around talking to himself like that.
All right, man, you on ESPN Radio this weekend?
No, I'm done. 4 days and 5 nights. All
right. Uh-oh.
Talk about done. He really is done.
Man, he is done. James, was that you? Did you hang up on Mike like that?
I did not. He just hung up himself.
James says, when I say go to break, damn it, you go to break.
Go to break, butthole. Hagen said that a little bit earlier. That's the first time anybody has ever uttered that word besides me on this show. That was a pretty big moment right there. Hagen rejoins in a second. Quick break. We'll come back. Tom's Watch Bar. We are downtown. Bud Light Blue Friday. Would love to see you with a ton to give away. Make this a spot on your way home tonight. Tom's Watch Bar downtown with Bud Light. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
It takes him a second to get on the stool because he's under 5 feet tall.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, welcome back. This is Tom's Watch Bar, everybody. We appreciate you being around on this Friday. I know a lot of you are out and about, not working. Good for you. But join us here, Bud Light Blue Friday. We got tickets to give away. We got a jersey to give away. That weird sound in the background outside of the re-entry music you hear is Chris Hagen jacking with his microphone right there.
I was told this is going to be a long break, so I ordered these loaded fries, and I'm trying to eat healthy like I always do. And next thing I know, I hear the little rejoinder that's meant to make fun of me. It takes him a while to get on the stool because he's under 5 feet tall.
You know, it's funny. You got loaded fries, and we got a loaded host right here, too. It's good. Makes a hell of a combination. Oh, yeah. I think everybody knows that by now.
That's part of the job description.
Like people will say they think this is mean. They go, "Oh, all you ever do is go out and get drunk." Okay. Really?
You know what?
Wait a minute. Why don't you say something else that's mean? Really? Yeah, I have a good time going out and drinking a little bit.
I told you I was going to the station the other day, and a guy had done some work in the station. Yeah. He walks out, and I go, "How's it going?" Because I just always talk to everybody. And he smiles, and he goes, "Hey, JMV." And I guess he can see my face fall, and he goes, "I'm just kidding. I know who you are."
Beautiful.
He goes, "I know you hate that." I'm like, "You're right."
It's Chris Hagen of Fox 59. Your coverage coming up on Sunday, right on?
You know, the game is actually on Fox 59.
It is. I saw
that. Our pregame show with live reports from MetLife will be on CBS 4 as usual at 11:30, and then we'll have the game on Fox at 1, followed by Packers Vikings on Fox 59. So it's an exciting doubleheader of football for you.
Big damn day working right there. It is. In case you've missed it today, and I know everybody had that, I'm going to give you Stephen Holder's take on it. Shane Steichen says they're not ruling out quarterback Anthony Richardson for Sunday's game against the Giants despite not practicing this week. And the short-term history is when he does not practice, he does not play. And Joe Flacco and Sam Ehlinger were out there taking reps a little bit earlier today. So that's the expectation, I think, from all of us coming up on Sunday. I mentioned this and asked Gorman this. What do you think? Will we find this out regarding him being ruled out before this being a game-time decision, or is this something they'll play right up until the very end?
I think it'll be Sunday morning. Just leave that in the back of their heads. I mean, let's face it, it's not like the Giants' game planning for anybody has worked out well this season. So I don't think – now, granted, we could be sitting here next week going, can you believe they lost to the Giants? That's just the nature of the NFL. But I don't think it's going to make a huge difference who the Colts trot out there. They should and ought to handle their business. I mean, an 8-point road favorite in the NFL is just unbelievable, especially for a team that's under 500 themselves. You got an under 500 team as an 8-point road favorite. That tells you what kind of trash you're dealing with in the New York Giants.
Do you think they erred in judgment in the benching midseason of Richardson? You think you look back on that right now, and believe me, I know what was going on around it, but do you think you look back on that and wish you would have just ridden that out with him and not jacked with it?
Well, aren't they games? Didn't they lose some games they would have lost anyway with him?
Well, they would, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think when you look at the win-loss.
No, I mean, but
you think about the development.
But this is supposed to be a season of reps.
Yeah.
You got to get the reps.
Well, also,
those are good teams.
They didn't want to throw him out there in prime time and have him get embarrassed in prime time, and then you're like, you really set his development back if he's because people get on X and they're sitting there going, man, this guy's trash. This guy's the worst quarterback ever. What a bust. You don't want to have him on the national stage. And I know other things went into that decision, but I think that was probably beneficial. A rare case where not playing was important for your development.
It was?
Dude, I'm trying to make a point and raise the mic and eat fries.
I know you're trying to eat your loaded fries. Go ahead right there.
You got to get them when they're hot. That's the best part.
I think that you look back on that, and you're talking about a couple of good teams. And I know that you were trying to teach him a lesson of accountability and whatever with that. But really, for the most part, it was about believing at that moment that their better choice at quarterback was Joe Flacco. I mean, listen, they went with the window dressing of, accountability and being a better practice guy and what he has to be and all that. But in reality, it was, we think at this moment against these teams, the 39-year-old gives us a better chance to win, and as that was proven to be incredibly inaccurate.
Well, aren't you? I mean, it's all about win now. If you're Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard, you want to win now. So I think they believe that gave them the best opportunity to win because as you're sitting here, as we roll out the end of the year and into the season, you're ready to clean house and get rid of everybody, which proves you better go win and put the players on the field you think give you the best chance to win. So
whoa. I'm not ready to clean house. I just said if you're going to do one, you got to do three.
Yeah, do them all, yeah.
Does that not make sense?
Well, I disagreed with you. I don't think that's necessarily you throw out the baby with the bathwater. Isn't that an expression? Don't people say that?
So, which one's the baby in this case? The 22-year-old?
Yeah, maybe.
I guess.
Yeah.
I just think about it in terms of this. I hate when people say, because this is such a nerdy thing, and I normally make fun of it, but I'm going to use it, I guess, to my advantage in my argument right here, which is lame beyond lame as hell. But people bring up timelines all the time. And you're going to have if you have a new general manager, like you're going to have a new defensive coordinator. That's the move they're going to end up making, regardless. But you make the move at GM, and then you're going to bring in a GM that's going to get, and we've seen how that's transpired before, not so well, I'd guess, right? After one season with a head coach that didn't hire, and then a quarterback that you didn't select. I mean, you're going to go out there and find somebody that believes in both head coach and quarterback if make one move with general manager?
Don't you think if you when you interview a guy for general manager, don't you think you ask him that? Hey, what do you think of our head coach? What do you think of our franchise right now? What do you think of this quarterback? Don't you think they would know all that going in? And if you get a guy that says, you know what, I've seen Steichen, I've seen his schemes, I like what he's doing, then you would kind of know. You would know if the guy's like, hey, when I come in, it's my way. I'm going to do this, and I've been waiting my whole life for this opportunity.
That's what people talk about. They want around here all the time, somebody with that philosophy. My way or the highway type of deal.
It's do you think the norm now is when GMs get hired, they're primarily guys that have never been a GM before? And don't you think that's interesting?
Yeah.
When you see so many head coaches, so many head coaches are recycled guys, but most GMs are like, he's a first-time GM. And you forget there's growing pains with that as well.
What recycled guys are working at head coach right now, too? Where do we start with that?
I mean,
give me some recycled guys.
You look at Pete
like Dan Quinn with
Carroll,
the Commanders.
Dan Quinn. Oh, you mean recycled coaches
like
that are
coaches
coaching right
now that have been, because normally that is
a retread.
That's going to be a first time where you're going to get the gig.
Yeah.
Doug Peterson is, and that's probably not going to last very long.
Mike McCarthy's a recycled guy.
He is, and we know where that's going.
I didn't know I was going to be put on a quiz.
No, I'm
here
sorry. I was just kind of curious about that philosophy of where you go with the coach.
Andy Reid's a different franchises.
I think it comes down to this. I think it comes down to what type of team you believe you had. Because with Dan Quinn in Washington, it felt like they needed somebody with a firm grasp and somebody that had been there and done that, and that's what they got, and they're probably pretty happy with that. But, with Dallas, it just seems like with McCarthy, they're just hanging on for the sake of hanging on because Jerry Jones doesn't want to make a change. But it does seem like the philosophy for many is going with the young, former coordinating genius guru head coach that you bring in. And, man, all that is determined by where you end up.
Well, remember in 2012, they had a clean slate. First-time GM, first-time head coach, rookie quarterback. Grigson, Pagano, Luck. Yep. And it's just interesting if you bring in three of the important roles, if they're all like newbies to it, very mixed results.
I got one guy, because Mike behind me just gave me this name. I got one guy that you've heard on this show a number of times that I would have to think would take the gig as general manager if it were offered, even with the head coach and the quarterback. We'll tease that and come back. And again, I don't think any of this is going to happen because I believe this team firmly is going to go 9-8. I think it's a false sense of security, but it's going to be a 9-8. But I will give you that name. Thank you very much, Mike, coming up on the other side. Hey, Pacer news. Andrew Nembhard tonight's got left knee injury or knee injury management. He's going to be a non-participant this evening on the road in Boston. So no Andrew Nembhard after that 23-point performance last night in the loss against OKC. He will not be in the game tonight for the Pacers. 7:30 tip time, 7 o'clock. Your coverage begins right here on the Fan. Tom's Watch Bar. We're downtown off of Illinois on a Bud Light Blue Friday with Colts tickets and more to give away. I want you guys to sit tight. 93.5, 107.5, the Fan.
Speak up, because I can't hear you.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
So many high school basketball tournaments underway. Obviously, the Hall of Fame tournament in Newcastle. You've got that really around the state of Indiana. I'm assuming you got the one over in Terre Haute, the Wabash Valley Shootout. That's always a fan favorite over there. A lot going on. Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers, coming up here after the top of the 5 o'clock hour. The IU's got one more before they get to the teeth of the Big Ten campaign. That's coming up on Sunday, I believe, against Winthrop. Purdue, also Toledo, coming up on Sunday before Matt Painter and his crew, Chris, start the Big Ten campaign again.
You know, as you keep kind of trying to ruin my enjoyment of my loaded fries,
yes.
Even though it's called Tom's Watch Bar, it's all ages. So you can bring the kids out here.
Bring the kids.
Bring the kids. They enjoy their Pepsi products while you enjoy your Bud Light products. Take in all the games. We got bowl games. We got golf. We got hockey. We got everything you'd ever want. And plus, we've got these loaded fries that I know you don't enjoy anymore, John. But I hope you're living through me vicariously.
I am.
As I enjoy these delicious.
It looks great.
Good. They're good, and they're good for you.
Vanderbilt, by the way, winning the Quiz Bowl so far over Georgia Tech, 14-7 as they approach the half of play.
What fan base
has the Quiz Bowl?
What fan base has more nerds in it, Vanderbilt or Georgia Tech? That's a toss-up.
Man, that is a toss-up right there.
They're all in a higher tax bracket than we are, and probably.
Which one would you rather attend, Vanderbilt or Georgia Tech?
I think I'd rather go to Vanderbilt because it's in Nashville. I like Nashville better than Atlanta.
Where you get the better education, Vanderbilt or Georgia Tech?
Well, it depends on what your major is. If you're going to be an engineer,
how about a major a-hole? What if you're that?
That too.
Vanderbilt.
Both teams. Yeah. Nashville is a much different city than it was when I moved up here, and I would drive through it all the time to go back to Alabama. It's huge. Now driving through Nashville on the interstate is like driving through Chicago or New York or something. It's gotten really big. You know, you got the pro teams. Maybe they end up with a baseball team there as well. So it's challenging Atlanta as the biggest, most famous Southern city. And good.
They're going to have the Super Bowl about every 5 years now. Yeah. They're going to be in that Super Bowl rotation when they get that domed stadium built.
Somewhere, Hank Williams is looking down, saying, "Look at Nashville.
What is this place? How about Johnny Cash going? This doesn't look anything like the place I passed out all the time in.
This ain't my damn Nashville."
239-1070. By the way, that name of the general manager is Louis Riddick, who's been on the show a number of times. That's a guy with Hagen's situation. If there is a change made with general manager, that is probably one that would fit right there. And going against my thought, Louis Riddick of ESPN. But anyway, I can't think of a lot, but there are probably more out there than what we're coming up with right now, even if we need to come up with anybody right now. Anthony Richardson is not practicing today, and we'll see what happens coming up on Sunday. Not ruled out yet, but everybody is preparing for Joe Flacco coming up on Sunday in New York. 239-1070, and John's in Bargersville, my hometown right now of Bargersville, Indiana. Hello, John.
Hey, JMV, it's John Martin. What's going on, sir?
John Martin is in Bargersville. Are you doing the workout place? Do you go to a place in Bargersville down there?
Yeah, CGX.
Is that Brian Fisk and his joint?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Man, Brian Fisk is going to be surprised when he sees this brand new dude right here, this 55-year-old guy that's cut out of clay, man, and redefining himself right now at the age of 55. He's going to be thrilled to see this, isn't he?
Yeah, you should stop in sometime and work out a little bit with us.
You know what? I'm going to have to start working out. I'm going to have to start lifting and stuff. It's going to be more than just the weight loss type of thing. John, what do you got, buddy?
Yeah, so you guys were talking about, if they run it back with Chris Ballard and how it's going to be a hard resell to fans to, try to sell this product over again. If they're going to do that, they're going to have to do one of two things. They're going to have to, go out and get somebody very attractive that's going to, like a wide receiver, a skilled position player that's going to be attractive to fans, or they're going to have to make a splash in the draft. And that's two things that Ballard doesn't do. So, it's one of those things this is going to be a very hard sell because this product right now that they're trying to sell is not very intriguing. And to try and do it over again, I think you're going to lose a lot of fans, don't you?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, John. And believe me, Chris Ballard's not going to deviate from who he is and what he does, and not even going into year number 9, which I believe that because they finished 9-8. Regardless, he's going to end up getting. And you're right. I mean, it's going to be a tough angle to sell to fans, especially if they come out of the gate like they normally come out of the gate coming up in 2025 and hit that struggle bus early. So, yeah, it's going to be hard. Yeah. And, I mean, I don't even know if anything outside of a level of believability and consistency in winning, and that will coincide with quarterback play being stratospherically better with Anthony Richardson in year number 3. I don't know if anything outside of that will save the glory from the fan base of the way that they feel right now.
Yeah, I agree. I got one more thing.
Yes.
Do you think, with this injury that Anthony Richardson has right now, do you think that there's any chance that they're waiting to see what happens with the Chargers and the Broncos on Saturday? And if both of those teams win out, do you think they would just shut him down?
No, listen, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. They're not waiting on it, though, because there's no way that you wouldn't practice all week, given his lack of experience. And then, by the way, look, the cards played out in our favor, and now you didn't practice all week. I think if he's healthy enough to perform, I don't care what we're talking about. I just think his ass needs to be out there, regardless of the circumstances. You cannot preach to me the reps and the experience that he doesn't have and he needs, and then, again, put him in a glass case at the end of the season, regardless of the circumstances. I would think that would be a high level of BS.
Me too. Just a thought. Yep.
John, appreciate you, my friend. Good to hear from you.
You too. Keep it up, man. See ya.
Shout out to Brian Fisk in Center Grove, CGX. They work out down there.
I'm excited to see you working out, John, and you're like a sleeveless shirt. Twisting some, pumping some iron.
People have asked my goal. My goal is to be shirtless on carb day.
You know what?
Will you go shirtless too?
That's something I'm not looking forward to. This is when I was younger, much younger, I was really ripped in high school, but I didn't like going shirtless because everybody made fun of how pale I was.
Yeah. They show a movie on your chest.
If I was built like that now, I would be doing the sportscast topless. I wouldn't care how pale I was.
I never want to wear a shirt again.
I would be proud.
I like you. I have one on right now.
All right, so what do you say we do? We make the agreement now. We do 30 minutes of the podcast or the Carb Day show, 30 minutes topless.
Okay.
Me and you.
I like it.
I'm on board for that.
Yeah, I'm ready. That's a goal right there.
I'm going to need some roids from somebody out there. If you got any, hook me up on X.
I'm not afraid of that. Chris Hagen. I'm JMV. Thank you for joining us. Tom's Watch Bar. We're downtown. Bud Light Blue Friday, man. Thank you for joining us. We'd love to see you here. All ages welcome. TV screens everywhere. And the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, set to join us next. Don't go anywhere. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Any questions?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
This is Tom's Watch Bar, everybody, with Bud Light. Our friends from Zinc are here, as usual. Thank you all for being a part of it today. Good Allison Chains re-entry right there. Chris Hagen of Fox 59 joins me, JMV. Hello, Chris.
Hi, John. It's great to be here with you on the final Friday Blue Zone, or what do you call it?
Blue Zone? Bud Light Blue Friday.
Yeah,
Blue Zone's
the
when you
final
on
one
TV.
of those. The final one of those of 2024.
You know, you brought out Alexa Ross.
I did
a couple of weeks ago. Well done. She's going to start school.
She'll be fun. She'll be covering the game for us at MetLife Stadium on Sunday. The game's on Fox 59. Our pregame show, the Emmy award-winning Blue Zone at 11:30.
Did you win an Emmy?
Yeah, I've won an Emmy.
Have you? How come you don't put? Because everybody else around here puts Emmy award-winning journalist.
It's even sadder when they put Emmy nominated.
Emmy nominated.
I've won multiple Emmys, but I don't like to talk about it.
There's Emacs over there. I put never been nominated for jack squat on mine.
You know, it is kind of
really bad.
It is kind of a hustle though, because it's not like they don't pick you out of the hat and say we're going to nominate. You have to submit something to be nominated, and you have to pay money. You pay money to join the club.
Yeah.
Then you pay money to submit your thing.
So I could be in the club if I paid money?
So last year, I didn't win any Emmys. You know why? Because I didn't pay any money to submit entries. So some places, they'll pay for you to – so you can submit 10 things and not cost you a dime because your station pays for it. And so then you get to say, hey, look at this. We won an Emmy.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You won an Emmy because nobody else in town paid the money to try to combat you in that category.
If I won –
I'm not naming names.
If I won a local Emmy, I'd use it as a doorstop.
Yeah, mine are they're all just boxed up in a bag in my closet. Some people have them all like displayed, but that's not how I roll.
Is it like all those trophies you won or didn't win back in the day? Did you win trophies back in Alabama?
Yeah, you had to do something to win trophies too. It wasn't like it is now.
Yeah.
I also have some plaques I won from doing stand-up comedy competitions. They're plaques.
Stand-up comedy?
Yeah, I have some plaques for that. But just to win the Emmys, like I
wanted
to say,
Carrot Top Award for half-assed being funny.
I wanted to just say I won an Emmy, and then I did it. So now I don't go out of my way. Like if they say, hey, there's a show we're submitting, you want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I remember the show. I go, okay, yeah. But now I don't seek out individual awards.
He is Chris Hagen. I'm JMV. I'd love to see you at Tom's Watch Bar because Emacs is now here. No Andrew Nembhard, no Obi Toppin later on tonight for the Pacers. 7:30 tip time. 7 coverage begins right here. You get the Celtics and the Pacers from Boston. The first of two, Friday, Sunday, for the Pacers and the Celtics in Boston. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, the college basketball schedule getting ready to ramp up for our good friend, voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, who joins us now. Don, I've got good news for us.
What is it?
So our good friend Jim McCann, great listener in Southern California, he hooked me up for my birthday / Christmas with an R-Table gift card. So you and I have yet another R-Table gift card to utilize coming up here. Jim McCann in Southern California did it for us.
Thank you, Jim. We really appreciate it, big boy.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I was thinking, Don, in terms of you and I and our relationship, I don't know if you could be more thoughtful than Jim McCann was with that. That's pretty impressive.
It is very impressive. There's no question about it. And obviously, he's heard you and I talk about our table, and he probably would like to join us at some point, too, in that regard, because it's one of the best places you can eat in the state of Indiana.
It is. Well, I tell you, he normally comes in town around the 500, so maybe on a Friday in May, you and I and Susie and Jim McCann go over there, and you guys watch me get drunk because I don't eat.
Well, that's your problem.
It is my problem. It is thoroughly my problem. It is. Hey, now, the news wasn't great, obviously, last week in South Bend. We haven't talked about that. With IU losing the first round of the college football postseason, the first time ever, the 12-teamer. But here recently, though, transfer portal-wise, something I know you and I both aren't big fans of, looks like IU taking full advantage of that so far once again.
Well, you know, the best coaches, they realize what the situation is. They go out
and they take advantage of that situation. And that's exactly what Curt Cignetti did last year, and I think he's doing it again this year based on the number of guys he's already gotten. And, of course, I think they're in a dead period now for up until sometime in January. But he's already got a quarterback out of the portal. He's got a couple of running backs out of the portal. He's got a couple of defensive tackles out of the portal. Probably the best news that he got over the last week and a half or so was the fact that Mikhail Kamara is going to come back for his final year of eligibility at that defensive end spot. And he was talking about the NFL, I think, or at least looking into the opportunities in that regard, but decided to come back for his final year of eligibility. And, man, that guy is really a good football player. So I think everything is falling into place again for Coach Cignetti in regard. The reason it falls into place, though, John and Chris, is because this guy knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's looking for, and he gets the guys that he's looking for most of the time.
It is interesting, Fish. It's like a new day and age, and you see some successful veteran coaches that don't like the new way and say, see you later, retire. And then you see coaches like Sig that embrace it and say, hey, if you don't adapt, you're not going to be competitive, and that's what they're doing. But I want to step back to last Friday. I was up there in South Bend. I was going to knock on your door. It said, like, visiting radio or something, but I was like, I can't bother Fish before this game. But I know you've seen a lot of football. A, it was so stinking cold up there. And B, I know you can't win or lose a game on one play, but it just seemed like the back-to-back plays when IU threw, they're driving, they get the turnover, they got the first down, looks like they're going in for the first score of the game, you throw the pick, and then the 98-yard touchdown run. Just those two plays, I think, completely set the tone. If IU takes that in there, gets the lead, calms the crowd down, it's one thing, but then the guy goes all the way, and it just completely sent that game in the wrong direction. Not that it wouldn't have gone that way anyway, but it just seemed like to me, it's hard to recall a game where just in that two-play sequence, things turned upside down like that.
You know what, Chris, and that's not only true in that ball game, but I think it was very similar in the Ohio State ball game. Indiana drove down the field for the first time in that contest to take the lead over Ohio State, got the lead. Buckeyes tied it up later in the first half. And then right down to the end of the first half, as everybody knows, Indiana can't move the football on a play. They snap the ball back for a punt. The punt returner or the punter drops the football at the 7-yard line. They recover it, take it in for a touchdown, and it's 14-7 at halftime. And then, of course, the second half, the same scenario. Indiana, the punter again kicks it in the wrong area, not where he was supposed to punt it. A guy gets it, goes 79 yards for a touchdown. So, those two plays almost back-to-back from first half to second half in that context, just turned the whole football game around. And it was similar in this game against Notre Dame as well. But, look, let's face facts here. Indiana was not the best team in this ball game, and they weren't. And I said all along, if somebody comes along and's got a better team in total with talent and all those kinds of things and plays the game the right way, Indiana could get beat. And that's exactly what happened in this contest against Notre Dame.
You had to like the fact, as the voice of IU for so long, and me just as a reporter, an impartial member of the media, they never quit. That thing, if looks like they're going to get that late 2-point conversion, and you're talking about a one-score game with another onside kick, they could have easily on a cold night like that just, packed the bags and said, okay, we'll get beat 56-7. We don't care. But they literally played until that final gun went off.
They did, and that's been the mark of Curt Cignetti's teams. No matter where he has been, that's what he preaches: never too high, never too low. Play till the end of the ball game. Play till the end of the play. Do not worry about what the last play was. Focus on the next one, and that's how they approached every ball game all season. And obviously, that's what they did in the Notre Dame game as well. But again, congratulations to the Fighting Irish, and rooting for them like crazy against Georgia when they play them coming up next week.
It's Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I so wanted to see, and we talked about this, Don, before the game, Curtis Rourke have himself a game, and it just unfortunately never materialized.
No, it did not, and I feel bad for Curtis in that regard. It wasn't his best night, but again, he got a lot of pressure from Notre Dame's defense. They put a lot of heat on him throughout that contest. And Brian Haynes, the defensive coordinator for Indiana, kind of kicked himself in the rear end, saying that we weren't as aggressive as I normally am. He said, and he basically chastised himself for not being as aggressive from Indiana's defensive perspective. So, look, you just go back, you look at the ball game, you make up you decide what you did right, what you did wrong, and you move on. And that's all Indiana can do at this point. All I can tell you is I'm as excited as I've ever been for Indiana football, and that includes the very first year I was here. I was excited for me the first year I was doing play-by-play in Indiana. But I wasn't all that excited about football in general back in the day because obviously it took Lee Corso, I think, to get to year 4 before we had 5 wins. So in those 3 years leading up to that. And look, Indiana football has struggled for so many years, and I can't tell you how happy I am for the fan base, for the people that have survived all these years as season ticket holders, went out there and spent their money and got nothing but a lot of negatives most of the time, with the exception back in the 80s and the early 90s when Bill Bowery was there. And just sporadic wins ever since then. We've only had 3 winning seasons since 1994 until this year. And then all of a sudden you have a historic year, 11-1. You come very close to having a chance to win the Big Ten championship. Didn't get it done, but you still went 11-1, which Indiana had never done in its history. And that's all I can tell you at this juncture is that if you're not excited about Indiana football now, you probably never will be.
And just to be clear, because as I found out, I already knew there were a lot of Notre Dame fans in our viewing area. But then when I was on the X and I would post things, either way, I was either pissing off IU fans or pissing off Notre Dame fans. So I will say this, on the record, I felt like Notre Dame, John, was clearly the more talented and the better team on that night. So not to take anything away from IU's season, but I thought once they went nose to nose, and despite some self-inflicted wounds, I felt like Notre Dame was the better team. And as Don said, we look forward to them moving on into the Sugar Bowl.
Yep, I think you're right, Chris. I mean, look, like I said before, this is a historic season for Indiana football, and nobody looked at Indiana like it was going to come back after a season of last year, which they won 3 ball games, had so many people defect, and obviously bringing in so many new faces. No one thought that this was going to be a team like they ended up being throughout this year. That's why 4 sellouts in a row at the end of the season tells you that everybody got excited in a real big hurry after they watched Indiana play this year, and I think that's going to continue.
Hey, Don, I really enjoyed referencing Notre Dame as the University of Southern Michigan.
Well, that's the first time I've heard that, John, but I like it.
They love that. They love it.
I had not heard that one.
Yeah, I thought sure maybe you'd hear it and you would use it during the broadcast, but unfortunately you didn't hear it. So,
No, I had not referenced it in that way at all. I didn't even think about referencing it that way.
Well, and then where I'm from, Greene County got torched after that by everybody, so kind of what I deserved.
Justification sometimes, big boy.
It is. Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers on the Indy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I hope I'm wrong about this, Don, but next up for IU is on Sunday, what is that, 4:30 or so, 4 o'clock in the afternoon against Winthrop. After 8 days off from playing games, if there's going to be an opportunity for something to be a rough one, I think this is it. Is it not?
Yeah, well, they had 8 days before they played Tennessee Chattanooga, and it didn't help them in that regard.
Yeah, that was rough too.
Game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that this team has got to start turning it around, and they've got to do it fairly quickly at this juncture because you're now into the guts of your season. Once Winthrop is out of the way, it's going to be a basketball season of Big Ten Conference matchups. The Big Ten Conference, I'm not sure, is great this year, but there are a lot of teams in this league that look better than what we've looked like so far. And I don't say that positively because I just feel like right now Indiana's not playing their best basketball. And there's no doubt that they've got enough talent to be a really good ball club and a team that might challenge for a Big Ten championship if they find one another, not just potential, but the chemistry and all those kinds of things that they've got to play with. And so far, it's been very inconsistent at best. And there's no doubt this ball club does have enough talent to be what we thought it could be, but they haven't proven it just yet. And hopefully this 8 days that they've gotten ready. Now, obviously, they went a little Christmas break here, and they had 2 or 3 days off to get away and see their families and those kinds of things. But hopefully Coach Woodson and this coaching staff have got these guys back practicing really hard, getting ready for what is going to be a very competitive Big Ten season. And the Winthrop game is the final non-conference ball game, and Winthrop is no pushover. They're 10-4 on their year. It's a good ball club. I mean, they're coached by Mark Prosser, who's got a good reputation. And obviously the same can be said for the Tennessee Chattanooga ball club Indiana played, and they barely got by them. I mean, they made that a competitive game for 40 minutes. So a 9-point win in that contest. It reminds me so much of what we went through last year. This team not, playing up to its potential game in and game out. Yeah. And right now I think we've just got to see this ball club find a way to get to where it needs to be. And if they do that, then they're going to have a chance to be really good in the Big Ten. If they don't, it's going to be another long season.
I was thinking about this last week and watching that Chattanooga game. I was going to ask you if there is a consistent aspect of this team that you would lean on right now that you have seen, because I frankly can't find it. It seems like on one night, if the defense is better, the offense is lackadaisical, or vice versa. It never seems like everything is clicking at the same time. Is there an area of consistency that you found doing these games?
No, absolutely not. That's my problem right now. I mean, we just haven't. I mean, and my biggest concern has been the effort and energy level of which they get into ball games with. And occasionally they have a game where they play really hard at the very beginning, and then it kind of seems to fade away a little bit. And then there are games where they get off to a slow start, and then they try to pick it up. And against good teams, it doesn't work because good teams are not going to let you back in the ball game if you're going to give them that chance to step in your neck. And obviously, the mediocre teams that you're playing at this juncture, if you keep them in the ball game, you never know. You could get knocked off, and then it'd be really a disappointment. So at this point, I can't say I've seen anything that really excites me from a consistency standpoint. And not even from a individual player standpoint. Everybody in this ball club has had a good ball game, or a couple of good ball games, and a couple of bad ball games. And it's just, doesn't seem to coalesce at this juncture. And that's got to be the thing that changes the most, in my opinion.
Yeah, we mentioned Winthrop coming up on Sunday, but they start out against Rutgers, and Rutgers is always difficult anyway. Rutgers has got some young, incredibly gifted talent on that squad this season. That's on the 2nd on Thursday, and then on the road at Penn State. And we've seen what Penn State has done, especially against Purdue, earlier in December. So you don't want this to turn into a really rough start, and potentially, I guess, anything is open for debate right here with this group.
Yep. I just think we have to wait and see what we're going to see here in the next week or so. I think this is going to be a very, very important week and a half as Indiana gets ready to play its first 2 Big Ten games after Winthrop on Sunday. And I want to see a really good performance on Sunday against Winthrop because they're a team that I'm not saying that they're great or anything like that, but they're well coached and they're another mid-major, and you should be able to handle that. And I just don't want to see it come down to the wire and have to win it in the last 5 minutes of the ball game.
So, Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers, are you on your way to our table tonight?
Nope, we're staying home tonight. We've had a long week. It's been a really fun week, but we've had a long week. We host Christmas Eve with my family here, my sons and their families, and then we host Susie's family on Christmas Day. So we've been doing that for about 8-10 years now, and it's really fun. And my wife works her tail off, and she doesn't want to go anywhere tonight.
Understand that. Now, do you nudge members of the family toward the door when enough is enough, or do you let them do that on their own?
No, we pretty much let them do that on their own. Although we did wrap up Christmas Day. We did wrap up the Christmas Day event here at about 8 o'clock that night because most everybody was showing up around 1 and 2 in the afternoon. And Susie didn't cook like she normally does for the Christmas Day group, but we had kind of what you would call grazing all afternoon. We had all kinds of sandwiches and things like that were out there that everybody could go out and partake of throughout the day. And they brought, and obviously some of her family brought food and all that kind of stuff to sit out there as well. So we had more than enough food, and we just had a great time. We had our annual pool tournament. It's it was the eighth annual Susie Lee Fischer pool tournament.
Awesome.
Were you the number one seed, Fish? Were you the number one seed?
No, I was not the number one seed. I did win it a couple of years ago, and my granddaughter, Kim, who never plays pool and never played pool in her life, she also won it about 4 years back.
I think that tells you the skill level in the tournament there, John.
I think the talent that we saw there. I mean, there were some pretty good players amongst some of the guys, but the talent was not as desperate or disparity from a disparity standpoint. There was a great deal of disparity between the top player and the worst player.
I did not know that Don Fisher and Fam were big billiards.
He's got a pool table down there in the basement by his office.
Hell yeah, that's awesome right there. Now, I'm curious, do you have your own pool cue? Do you have one that's your own, or do you just use a random one?
No, I bought about when I got the table, when I put the table in, I always wanted, this is interesting. I grew up playing a lot of pool when I was a kid. My stepfather back in the day ran a couple of bowling alleys, and they always had pool tables in there. So we went in there. When I skipped school back in the day, I used to play pool.
Heck yes.
But other than that, I always wanted to have a pool table, and when we built this house back in 1995 or whatever it was, I had a pool table put in, and I literally, I think I hit balls on, let's see, what was it, Christmas Eve? No, it would have been Monday. I hit balls on Monday for the first time since last year's pool tournament, which just tells you how much I use it. But my kids do it. We always have grandkids come down, and they always look forward to it and all that kind of stuff. So we need
to do a promotion in your basement. Can we have a pool tournament in your basement?
I'm sure Fish would love that, John. Let's have some strangers come in. That'd be fun.
I think we're going to leave that just to people who know me.
I love. See, I grew up with my neighbors up the gravel road had a pool table, and we were always on that too.
I would kill you, John, if we played right now. I would absolutely murder you in pool.
I love doing it. I do. I never had my own pool cue. I remember every time I was in Bloomington, I'd be at sports bar or something, and there'd always be like 5 or 6 dorks come in there with their case and their pool cue in their case that they were going to screw on like they were in a color of money. Yeah.
Hey, Fish, before we wrap up here, maybe John and I could each get an at-large berth to the tournament next year and come down and see what we can do.
Well, there might be a chance of that happening, but it'd be slim.
What are these two jerks doing at the family get-together here?
They are out there. Hagen so much, Don, wants to talk junk about his prowess as
I'm really
a
good at pool.
player.
I'm good at all the bar sports, as you might imagine.
Yeah, but Steve Miseroc's right next to me here, I bet. I'm sure. There he is.
Mississippi Fats.
I never talk about how good I am at pool because usually that gets you beat.
It does. Hey, Don, one final question about your billiards tournaments. Do you call slop if a ball goes in unintentionally? Do you call it slop or do you count it?
Oh, it's slop, but we count it.
No. Awesome, man. Well, I did not know we were going to get this, but we got some billiards conversation with the voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. You guys have a fantastic weekend, just kicking back and relaxing. We'll do it again next Friday.
I appreciate it, John. See you, Chris. You guys.
It's Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Sir, are you a big-time billiards player?
Yeah, but if I could make every shot in the book, but if I get to the last one, you go, hey, I bet you $100 you won't make this. I'll just miss.
Did you grow up in a room where it was a really tight fit, like on Seinfeld? Remember that episode where Frank Costanza got his pool table?
My grandma had a pool table, like a really nice one, and they would watch over you to make sure you weren't going to mess up the felt there. Like they don't want you to go to angle. So that was the pressure that was applied. But, yeah, it was a really nice one. So then it was a bigger one, too. So you get in these bars, and you got the smaller ones. It's like swinging, the baseball bat with the donut on it, or swinging two bats. You get into with just a regular bat. It felt like it was so easy playing on a smaller table.
Do you have the leather pockets where they all went into an individual pocket, or did they go into a pocket and then they would roll down?
It was individual leather pockets. This thing, it costs more than my house does. But, yeah, I love that. I love darts. I love pool. I love Pop-A-Shot, as you might imagine. Yeah. We have to go out and knock it out a little bit.
James, are you a big billiards guy back there?
I've played some. I'm not a huge guy on it, but I enjoy it.
Do I sound like a dork saying billiards?
I was about to say, who says billiards? Do you enjoy
I've
the
never
billiards?
heard people call it billiards.
I'm trying to get Jay Orner and Sons Billiards on the show here.
Are you a billiards
Come on,
enthusiast?
Man.
Do you find yourself enjoying the billiards?
Is Jay Orner and Sons Billiards going to come on here with a new advertisement? Because I'm pitching them right now.
You're just trying to get a free table.
I'm trying to pitch them. Come on now.
What are you, David Niven?
Yes, pitching them. Quick break. We'll come back. Hagen, JMV, Tom's Watch Bar, downtown. TVs everywhere. And the Quiz Bowl is in the third quarter with Vanderbilt over Georgia Tech, 14-10 right now, down in Birmingham, Alabama, near the hometown of one Chris Hagen. We come back. Chris and I have a conversation that's coming up next. 239-1070. If you want to jump on board before the end of the show, you can. Thank you all for joining us as we get into and closer to the new year. Tom's Watch Bar, Bud Light Blue Friday, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Killed anyone?
Yeah, but they were all bad.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Tom's Watch Bar downtown, Bud Light Blue Friday. Thank you all for joining us. Chris Hagen of Fox 59, JMV. Dev's the on-site engineer. James back in the studio. Hello, Chris.
Hello, John.
You know, a voice with sad news today, and I think, to me, this voice is recognizable in so many of the past, especially during the Manning era, Colts wins on CBS. It seemed like so many of those games, Chris, were called back then in Colts wins with Manning and company by Greg Gumble. And Greg Gumble has passed away today at the age of 78.
Yeah, like I put on X, just a voice of my lifetime worth of watching sports, enjoying sports on television like I know you have. And at first, you know, it was, oh, that's Bryant Gumbel's brother.
Yeah.
But then he went on to where you forgot about he was Bryant Gumbel's brother. It was like Bryant Gumbel's Greg Gumbel's brother. All the things he did, all the things he's been a part of. And, yeah, just a sad day here right in the middle of the holidays before we get to the new year to see that come across the social media. And I know, like, so many people who listen to your show are of that same demographic that well know who he is. Just a long, storied career, and just sad to hear the news.
And you think about he and his brother, Brian Gumble. To me, you could not find two brothers in broadcasting at that level that seemed more different than both of them in styles, in personalities, and otherwise. Greg Gumble was always that, you know, very jovial, enjoyable guy calling the game. And Greg Gumble, or I should say Bryant Gumble, was, you know, always looking for, you know, the story, and he had the harsh criticisms and all that. Even when he was a studio host, if you remember,
he was a sports guy,
back when he did college basketball, for example, on NBC, or back when he did NFL on NBC. Back then, it was always, you know, a critical angle, and Greg Gumble was always, as you mentioned, very jovial as a way that his personality came across.
You look at them, you can tell they're brothers, but very different styles. But one thing you say, both of them a part of our lifetime growing up watching sports, and also very smooth, just really good broadcasters. You would always say that's a professional. That's how you do it. So yeah, it's a sad news for sports fans that have watched him over a wide variety of sports throughout the years.
So Greg Gumble again has passed away. Sad news coming out of the sports world today from the NBA. We mentioned the Pacers in Boston later on tonight. But everybody remembers Mike Brown around here. Mike Brown was thought to have a plum gig with Sacramento, and it's weird. The head coach is always going to take the fall for this, but I think with Sacramento going with DeMar DeRozan with that group simply didn't look like it was going to fit, even with the high volume of points that he scores, and it hasn't fit. And today we learned that Mike Brown has been let go by the Sacramento Kings as their head coach.
It's not unexpected this time of year. You know, you get to where more people start looking at that record. As we talked to Jeremiah Johnson earlier about, wow, you know, you're almost halfway through the season. You start looking at where you are and where you want to be, and it's not unusual this time of year that you start seeing moves. But obviously, local ties with and also he and I have the same birthday.
Oh, really?
March 5th. Fun fact. One of us is a year older than the other one. Who is a year older between the two of us?
You are.
You are correct.
Yes. You're older than Mike Brown. But it's you're older than Mike Brown.
God, you're older than Mike Brown. But I was just voted in Indianapolis Monthly as one of the top 60 under 60. That's not a real thing.
I like that, though.
That was a joke.
They need to make that. Why don't they?
It's always like the top 30 under 30 or top 40. But I think let's branch this out. Me and John should be in the top 60 under 60.
I'm the biggest turd over turdy.
You had my vote.
I know. Thank you very much. 239-1070. I mentioned Tom's Watch Bar. Anthony Richardson, no practice again today. Highly skeptical would everybody that covers the Colts team be of his participation coming up on Sunday. Joe Flacco, Sam Ehlinger took their reps today. The expectation is Flacco not ruled out as Richardson been. However, things don't look bright about his participation coming up on Sunday in New York. We shall see. What are you doing?
I got to go here. My thing, 5:40.
You're leaving at 5:40?
I got 3 minutes to get to my car.
I think you'll be all right. Will they jump on you right away here?
Do you not know the luck of Hagen? Some people could leave a car without paying the thing for 6 hours and be fine.
Playing the thing.
They'll be out there 30 seconds. My things goes overdue.
So you're going to leave. So make sure you remind everybody what they can watch this weekend on Fox 59.
Little show we call the Blue Zone pregame show, 11:30. That's on CBS 4. But then the game this week, it's actually on Fox 59. Colts and Giants, 1 o'clock, Fox 59, and of course, the award-winning Sports Overtime featuring JMV. That will be at 10:35 on Fox.
Have we won an award for that? We still dominate the ratings?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't want to get into it.
Is it not a fair
it's
fight?
the holidays. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But I'll tell you this, John. We don't know now. We might be putting this season in the books come Sunday night based on how these games go on Saturday and Sunday. But we'll see.
Got a 1 and a 4 o'clock start in the afternoon, right?
Can the Colts go in to Week 18 still with a playoff pulse? We'll find out tomorrow and Sunday.
Yeah, Chargers in New England coming up. That's the earliest
Broncos,
game of the
Bengals.
three. Broncos and Bengals after that. That's Chris Hagen, Fox 59, and you've got all the great 59 shows and the Colts game as well on 59 coming up on Sunday.
All right, Happy New Year, everybody. See you, John.
Chris Hagen right there is going to bail. All right, 239-1070 is the number I'd mentioned. We had, I think, John on the line here, James. John, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, John. How are you?
Great. Go ahead.
Cracks me up that Hagen just left. He knows me by a different name. He knows me as Johnny. I'm essentially his brother-in-law.
No, he just left. That's quite. See, that's the timing that Hagen has right there. Right? That's the timing. You know me. So you're Hagen's brother-in-law?
He and my sister have been together for a long time. So, yeah, pretty much.
I gotcha.
Well, I kind of think it's interesting. You were talking about if one goes, all three got to go.
Right.
I have an alternate scenario for you.
Okay.
All right. So I agree. Yeah, Chris Ballard should no longer be our GM. 9 seasons, long time. We haven't seen much out of him. However, I think he's great in the draft. So I say we can him as a GM, bring him back as our draft consultant or draft expert. Just let the guy draft. I mean, he finds guys like Zaire Franklin in round 7 and E.J. Speed in the 5th round, The guy's good in the draft, but he's a crappy GM. So bring in a new GM, make him a draft expert.
Well, listen, I give credit where credit is due. And Johnny, thank you very much. Sorry Hagen had left right there. I'm sure Hagen would have been very interested in that call, to say the least. Chris Ballard is not great as a selector in the draft, but he's not bad. He's had some picks. What he is, and this is better than he's mediocre. And I've described him as such before. He is the maestro of mediocre with this team. And this team has been, at best, mediocre the entirety of the time. And 8 seasons of that, 7 seasons of that, 6 seasons from me of that, you could all describe that as being enough is enough. I get it. But it's funny, you look back in recent history and all these seasons where you would have felt compelled, and understandably so, to make a change at general manager. This, to me, is not going to be easier said than done. Because I think you got to have it make some sense. And to me, it doesn't make a great deal of sense to do that and to still have the head coach and the quarterback that you may change out a year later, but maybe not. I mean, maybe you do have a situation like you had, when Chris came in here and still had Chuck. But I've said all along, I think it's got to be either all or none. And I think that's how it's going to be. And in fact, I've said this, I think they're going to finish 9-8, and I don't think it's going to be anybody. I think Gus Bradley's going to have a tough opportunity to return. But other than that, I think everybody's going to be back if this team goes 9-8 without question. So It all depends on, there have been hits and there have been misses. But the record, the lack of success, especially in the postseason, no divisions won, the constantly trying to track down a quarterback, and then the heart of the selection, number 4 overall, a quarterback. This is going to be the resume. This is going to be the calling card for his future. And, it's tough to call him being great at this craft at anything at this juncture. It's just not reality. And right there, I think middling is where you can call it, and that's saying it, as some would say, not even middling. But the maestro of mediocrity is what this has been. And until further notice, I would assume this is what this is going to be. Johnny, thank you for the call. All right, more on the Anthony Richardson stuff coming up at the top of the hour. We got Colts Happy Hour for you coming up here. And we're live at Tom's Watch Bar downtown. Bud Light Blue Friday. We're back with you coming up on the other side. Do not go anywhere. We shall close it strong with some Pacers not participating in Boston later on tonight. I'll explain that and more as we close out this show with you. Coming up next.
With JMV.
Now you listen here. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Now go away.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Tom's Watch Bar, welcome back, everybody. Bud Light Blue Friday. Thank you all for joining us. Chris Hagen was here. Mike Wells of ESPN Radio. Don Fischer, voice of the Hoosiers. Who else was on the show? Gorman a little bit earlier, too. Jeremiah Johnson, Pacers TV. Pacers and the Celtics coming up later on tonight. No Andrew Nimhard and no Obi Toppin for the Pacers tonight. The first of two, Friday and Sunday for the Pacers in Boston. Anthony Richardson did not practice again today. Again, no decision has been made. He's not been ruled out for Sunday at MetLife Stadium against the Giants. But the expectation is from many that cover the team that you're going to be seeing Joe Flacco, the 39-year-old, coming up on Sunday. That is something we shall see. Colts pregame huddle with me, Gorman, Bill Brooks, and Casey Valier, 10 a.m. coming up on Sunday morning right here on The Fan. Meantime, I mentioned the Pacers tonight, 7:30 tip time, 7 o'clock. Your pregame coverage follows our Colts happy hour coming up here. At the top of the hour, the general manager here of Tom's Watch Bar downtown is our friend Damien, who has had us here. Actually, we met a couple of weeks ago at, I think, what you call the soft opening. How are things going around here, Damien?
Oh, it's going great. And the fans here are just amazing, from the Colts to the Pacers right now. And we're really excited to have the Fever when they start up again. Super excited. So it's been fantastic. The people are great. The environment's great. You know, the guys at Zinc have been amazing partners as well. So just super excited to be here and really, you know, create and be part of that culture of Indy sports.
It is funny, Damien, too. The guys at Zinc are awesome. And we know that to be true for many years. There's no doubt about that. They have been great with us, too. I'm going to tell you what, you've got incredible wait staff here, support groups that staff-wise that are awesome. I'd ask you this. If it was, difficult to come up with this. But you say, not so much. You get the best of the best here.
Not a ton. I mean, we try to make sure we create a premium brand and premium environment. And we interviewed probably over 1,500 people just for our opening to try to make sure we had some of the best of the best. And we continue to push that bar forward.
All right, we got tickets here we handed out for a Colts jersey right here.
Yes, sir.
Do we have names on them or just numbers?
Just numbers.
Just numbers. I'm going to pick out, I don't know, get your tickets out if you have them out right now. See, I don't know if I'm able to read that. All right. I think, I can read that. Barely read that. I'm going to have to get glasses one of these days.
I believe in you.
I got 1079969. Now, if you're still not here with that number, we will still give this to you. No doubt about that. But this is the number right here. I'll go around and check and see if we can find. Hey, Kendall, come over here for a second, buddy, would you? Go around and see if anybody has that number that's in here right now. If now, we'll find out. If they've already gone, we'll find it out. See if anybody has that number for a Colts jersey right here. Hey, give us your hours that you're open, Damien, here.
So hours, we're open Monday through Thursday, 4 o'clock till midnight. And then Friday, Saturday, Sundays, we open at 11. Home Colts games, we open at 10. But we're open till midnight every single day of the week. If we have every UFC fight that comes out, all the boxing matches that come out. We're not going to close. If the fight goes till 1 o'clock, we're open till 1 o'clock. If the fight goes till 2, we're here till it's done. Now we're here till 2. So we got some big fights coming up.
Is that big time? People love the UFC stuff in here. I mean, is that a big deal?
If you want to have an experience that is above none other, we come in, we will dim the lights down. When the final walkthrough comes in, we'll drop all the lights in the entire building. If you want to talk about an electrifying experience, it's fantastic. It's definitely something you must try.
People, Damien, they've asked me this. I have not physically counted. How many TVs do you have on hand inside here?
160.
160.
And we were just talking about adding another 10 or so, possibly. So,
like where? Like every square inch looks like it's covered right now. What are you thinking?
There's a small foot on the right side of the bar that has about a foot of space. We're going to squeeze some probably in there at some point as well.
Adding 10 more. How many do you have? Because it's noted you have them outside, too.
Correct.
As well.
When weather gets better, we can open up the entire front of the building. We have 20 TVs just on the front of the building. We have audio out there. You can have an experience that you would have in the inside. You can have on the outside. And when the weather gets better, we'll be able to open all these windows up, and it'll be a seamless transition of environment from outside to inside. And that's the goal.
That is incredible. You also got the mood lighting going on in here, too.
Absolutely.
Which we noticed.
Oh, like I said, when it comes time for a UFC fight and those lights drop down, it's an experience like no other.
We were talking a little bit earlier about what this space used to be, and going way back to the 90s. This started out as the Planet Hollywood, and that was a big deal when that thing opened up. You had the tri-owners, I guess you would say, was Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Willis, but you had a who's who down here. This got some history, this particular space right here.
It does. And, we really tried to make sure we keep some of the original environment, the original bricks, and all the things that really made this building amazing. So we've tried to maintain that historical value, especially being across from St. Elmo's, while also creating an environment that's, above none other.
And Tom has been here before.
Tom was here for about a week and a half. He'll be back beginning of February timeframe, mid-January. He'll be back for a couple days, and can't miss him. Big, tall guy, long blonde hair, friendly as heck. And
he's done some things in his life, too.
Just a few.
It's like very Forrest Gumpish. You know what I mean? Like, just done all these different things. You know what I mean?
He has, except for running.
Yeah,
he's not much for the running.
Not much of a running guy. Hey, one more time, the hours and the days you guys are open.
Again, we're open every day of the week, pretty much every holiday. Open every day till midnight, Monday through Thursday. We open at 4, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we open at 11.
When you come in here, ask for Damian, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you for all the
I
hospitality, man. We appreciate that. And our friends at Zinc, thank you very much as well. Damian, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, sir.
Tom's Watch Bar on a Bud Light Blue Friday. And by the way, we shall be back. Dev, great job out of you. Kendall and Kevin, no problem. Thank you very much, Kendall. Thank you guys for doing what you do. I'm going to hang out another hour. I've got Colts Happy Hour coming up next, too. We'll get more insight on Anthony Richardson and that situation and get you to Pacer pregame coming up 7 o'clock tonight. James back in the studio. Thank you very much. If you're asking, JMV Takeover, that's Tuesday night, the official start for Season 5 on New Year's Eve at 6 o'clock on B105.7. However, up next, Colts Happy Hour is a couple of minutes away right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Hang in there.